Welcome back, PetaPixel viewers. Chris Nichols here, coming to you from a gorgeous day in Calgary. And I'm looking at two lenses that I've never tested before. These are Voigtlander lenses, and these lenses are both ultra bright and full of character. I've got here the 40mm f1.2 Nokton on a Canon R5. Over here in E mount, I've got the 50mm Nokton f1.0 on my Sony a7R5. And I really want to look at the character of these lenses more than actually do a full review. I'm really looking at what kind of photos these lenses can achieve. So before we get deep into the video, I just want to talk about Audiio here for a second because we love their music subscription service. And on PetaPixel, we always talk about their lifetime subscription. But today, I want to talk about the Audiio Pro account subscription. Now, this is a yearly fee, but you get to unlock so much stuff. And with the Audiio Pro subscription, you not only get unlimited access to all the music and sound effects, but you also get access to the Link Match AI search engine and using elements and stems, which is very powerful stuff. And the best part is you get to use all of these assets without any sort of licensing or rights usage issues. And you can use these not only for individual creators, but companies up to 100 employees. And if you want to get more than that, if you have more than 100 employees, then you can use Audiio's enterprise subscription. Now, this is a good fit for you. You can go to audio.com/PetaPixel, click on the enterprise subscription button, and then just make sure that you refer to PetaPixel as your reference. That'll help you out a lot. And if the Audiio Pro subscription is all that you need, just click in the link in the description below, use the coupon code PetaPixel, and you will get 70% off your first year's subscription. As always, big thanks to Audiio for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to our Voigtlander lens test. Now, we have taken a look at other manual focus lenses with lots of character on this channel before, but mostly out of China. Think lenses like LoCA, Taipox, 7 Artisans, and in a lot of cases, those lenses don't have any electrical communication with the camera, and they do tend to be a little bit more affordable. What's interesting about these Voigtlander lenses is, first off, I get full electrical connectivity on both the Sony and the Canon platform, interestingly enough, but these are fully manual focus. They're also quite a bit pricier, so really today's video is also, is it worth to pay the extra price to get a more premium manual focus lens? Okay, so let's talk about how these two lenses handle on the camera body. So the first thing I want to get across is that they have full electrical connection, and this is huge because most third-party manual focus lenses do not. This means that all of my EXIF data is getting transmitted, the focal length is getting transmitted, and I really do appreciate having that even on a manual focus lens. As for the manual focus on these lenses, both buttery smooth. I mean, these are basically full metal construction. The click stops on the aperture ring feels nice. The focus is smooth, and it's got a nice sort of damped effect there. Now look at the lenses here. We have actually pretty similar construction on both. I mean, they're all metal, as I've said before. They've got nice depth of field scales. The aperture rings are at the front of the lens, so they're very easy to find and manipulate. The 40mm f1.2 is, of course, going to be a little bit smaller physically, as you can see there. Somewhat lighter, not that much. 420 grams versus 484 grams on the 50mm f1.0. So anywhere from a fifth of a noct roughly to a fourth of a noct, but easy to carry around all day, even though they have really wide apertures. Neither of these lenses are what I'd call weather sealed, but they're certainly built very well. Now, filter threads are important to discuss as well because these lenses being such bright apertures, you might need ND filters on bright sunny days if you want to shoot those maximum apertures without running out of a fast enough shutter speed to cut the light. So the 40mm f1.2, this uses a very easy to find 58mm filter thread. The larger 50mm f1.0 is a 67mm filter thread. I would absolutely also use them a lot if I was going to do any black and white photography in a monochrome mode and I want to just get really old school with it. So now I want to talk about flare. We had some opportunities to test this, especially in the garden, and I honestly expected the results to really suck because what we've seen with a lot of the aftermarket Chinese lenses that are fixed primes, the coatings leave something desired or the flare is accentuated for quirky or creative effect, but the Voigtlander coatings are actually really good here by Cosina. So you can see shooting wide open, yeah, there's a bit of a loss of contrast, but honestly, there really wasn't much flare to worry about. And even stopping down heavily on both lenses, I didn't see any major ghosting. So that was a really nice result. We're getting that soft focus effect, the soft bokeh, the shallow depth of field, but we're not necessarily having to deal with all the other painful quirks like bad flare. And when it comes to sunstars, not great. I mean, here you can see the 40mm f1.2 does actually give you a sunstar because it does have a bit of that unrounded shape to the aperture when stopped down. I still wouldn't call it amazing, but it is there. But the 50mm 1.0, the aperture blades are so round, even when closed down, that you really don't get any sunstars. So that is neither of these lenses' forte. All right, so we just had a lovely lunch there at Leopold's Tavern. I had the beef dip, it was fantastic. I normally, it's always hit or miss on beef dip. This isn't an ad, all right? We just really like that place. And it's a great place to test bokeh. So that's a super important thing when you're looking at an f1.2 or 1.0 maximum aperture lens. So Leopold's has great lighting in there to test this. So as we can see, the bokeh on both these lenses is actually quite beautiful. Specular highlights will take on a very strong cat's eye, almost Petzval lens effect for portraits. You can see this in our garden shots. You can certainly see it here as well. And I think it's fantastic. When you stop down the lens to f2, then you'll notice that Petzval effect, that cat's eye effect, largely goes away. Both lenses have very clean specular highlights. We're not seeing a soap bubble effect. We're not seeing any sort of onion rings. And the transition from in focus to out of focus is beautiful. And again, I think it's worth repeating that the 50mm f1.0 has a beautiful round aperture even when stopped down, whereas the Nokton 40mm f1.2, you get a bit of a polygonal effect, but they look very similar to each other. Okay, time to talk about LoCA. That's that longitudinal chromatic aberration where you get color fringing in the foreground and background out of focus areas, and it's very hard to get rid of in post. And of course, on these two lenses, we're gonna get a shallow depth of field when we're shooting wide open. So how's the LoCA? Well, on both lenses, pretty bad. I will say the 50mm 1.0's got it even worse, but you see distinct color fringing to the point where I can basically manually focus by it. If I see green or pink, it's out of focus, and then once it's sharp and black without any sort of color, I know I'm in the right spot. In truth, you're only really going to see this LoCA when shooting at your widest apertures. It does calm down pretty quickly as we stop down, but keep in mind, if you are shooting wide open, you're going to get these color fringes, and it's going to be rough to get rid of. Okay, so I want to take a portrait with the Voigtlander 50mm f1.0. We got this cool mural here, but I wanted to get that sun-kissed warm light look, and unfortunately all of our beautiful balanced sunlight is gone now. It's overcast. It's actually probably going to rain any second here. Luckily we had the Westcott L60B light in the car. So first off, beautiful things. This is a continuous light source, battery powered, as you can see there, just twin L-mount batteries powering it, no cables required. It's great, but also I can dial in the temperature anywhere from about 2700 Kelvin up to about 6500 Kelvin. So I'm going to have this lighting Jordan, no softbox. I just want more of that hard sunlit kind of look, but I'm going to turn it down to like 3700 Kelvin. That way the mural's still going to be white balanced properly for a cloudy day, but then this is going to give us that warm look. It'll actually separate Jordan from the background a little bit as well. And then I don't have to do all this fancy brushwork in post. This is way quicker and way more natural looking. Okay, so this is what I love about the continuous light source here as opposed to flashes. I can see exactly where it's falling.
It's very bright.
It's very, I know, just tilt your head a bit more to the right, a little bit down. There we go. I can focus by it. It's giving me additional light here. And then the background, nice. The shallow depth of field just makes it a wash of color. I can see the warmth. I can see the directionality. It's fantastic. So this is why Westcott's lighting products are preferred partner for PetaPixel. And if you are interested in getting the L60B and this battery powered pack, you can see that in the links in the description below, or just go right to fjwestcott.com.
Let me see it. Do I look hot?
Yeah, you look sun-kissed.
Damn.
Okay, so are these lenses sharp? Well, first let's take a look at the 40mm f1.2 here, focused in the center on our test chart at 1.2. You can see that it is fairly soft, and we're losing some contrast as well. When we stop the lens down even just a little bit, things improve dramatically. So this is the kind of lens where if you can't afford to stop down for sharpness, it's a good idea to do so. Looking at our corners, shooting wide open at 1.2, again, very soft, heavy vignetting as well. Stopping the lens down does absolutely improve the sharpness in the corners, but you can see the vignetting is still fairly heavy. So this is definitely a lens where you want to have your subjects more central. Okay, now looking at the 50mm 1.0, you can see you're shooting wide open in the center, soft, and we're not getting a ton of detail, very low contrast. Stopping down though absolutely does help that, and I find that this lens sharpens up pretty quickly. Even like by 1.4, it was pretty decent, but certainly stopping down to f2, fantastic results. Looking at the corners, we're still seeing that softness wide open at 1.0, although maybe not as bad as what the Nokton 40mm had. We are still getting heavy vignetting. Stopping down does improve the sharpness again, but the vignetting stays. I mean, overall, these lenses are designed to give you that nice character shooting wide open. And so there's plenty of situations where I would shoot, even though I know the sharpness and the detail is going to be a little bit less wide open. But absolutely, you can stop these lenses down if you want more detail, and you can still get a lot of light. So this is really a nice mix of, do I want the character, do I want the soft focus effect, or do I want to get sharper results? These lenses can do both. Now, I think it's important to keep in mind that the 50mm lens, while more expensive, does give you sharper results wide open in both the center and the corners of the images. And if you really want to shoot a lot of shots wide open, it might be worth paying the extra cost. So I had an interesting time shooting these two lenses, and my main takeaway is this. I mean, first off, you always hear people throw on the term character. I know it gets used a lot, but these lenses do have really beautiful character, especially when it comes to the look of the lens and the shots and the depth of field shooting wide open, but also the fact the bokeh is gorgeous. And yet, when you do close the lenses down, they become razor sharp, really nice, very clean looking lenses you can use. So they've got some versatility there. At the same time, I do like that these are better corrected than some of the more affordable Chinese lenses on the market. I mean, these are made by Cosina in Japan. They got the licensed Voigtlander name. They certainly carry a higher price tag, but I do think that's justified because of the better optical corrections involved. I had an interesting time here actually shooting the 40mm Nokton and the 50mm Nokton side by side, and although they're on different bodies, I do still get a good feel of what these lenses can really do. I actually feel like the 40mm Nokton delivered essentially the same results when it came to bokeh. I will give that the 50mm does have a more subtle, nuanced look to the out of focus areas, but it's very close. And so I think the 40mm, you are giving up some light, but you're getting a way lower price tag, and you are getting a smaller, lighter lens to carry around, and I think there's a lot of value there. That being said, if you absolutely need the maximum light gathering, the 50mm 1.0 is better corrected than a lot of the ultra fast lenses that I've used in the past, and I think that's a great plus. So to answer our original question, I really do think there's a lot of value in having these more expensive third-party manual focus lenses, and I really still think I'm getting unique look out of these lenses that I wouldn't get out of first-party autofocusing primes. So really nice way to go here if you want that look as well. Leave your comments below, let us know what you think. Of course, do check out the podcast as well. It's on this exact same channel, or you can find it on all your favorite podcasting apps. Just search for PetaPixel Podcast. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.